Shall we start? I think people will keep coming. What do you say? So can we start from you, Dr. Niladri? So do we have so here, the way we are doing is that people might also be having their own slides, but in case you don't have a slide, we are projecting also the live posters, but I'm sure you might be able to add and further build on it. So over to you, Dr. Niladri, for a short reflection.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vishwa. So I see a lot of people maybe still coming in, but let me start with I was given the responsibility to moderate the inaugural session. So many of you may remember that we started with a question: how far would we go to save a river? So now the thing is that after 3 days or 2.5 days of the interactions, the discussions, I would want from the audience, any two of you, to actually say that, did we learn anything about how to save the river, or do we have any, what I would say, any ideas or any experiences that the presenters shared, that how they are saving the river and it can be scaled up. So that has to be answered only by two people because of the time constraint. But if you can make this, make it full screen, this message. Yeah, if you see, three things came out when we started this Meghna Knowledge Forum. So we started with an aspiration. So what was the aspiration? One is that most of the speakers, the inaugural speakers, have talked about collaboration, which we talk in our interactions ago. Yeah, so forging collaboration was there everywhere. So everyone talked that we need a collaboration, and Meghna Knowledge Forum is a platform for collaboration, and I hope some of it has been achieved. The second is about the field is the classroom. So we talk about policies and all things, but the major constraint that comes everywhere is that South Asia has the most beautiful policies on the planet, but implementation is very low. So the field is the classroom. That's one part which came out, according to my understanding. Another thing is that when we heard our Excellency Ambassador from Bangladesh, and also our Secretary General from BIMSTEC, when they spoke, they talked about action plans, which is again connected to the field is the classroom. So we have to have action plans or connecting the dots on water diplomacy. So I feel from this first session, there were a lot of other things. Major thing is forging collaboration. The second thing is about is the classroom, and third is about action plans. So now coming back to the question of how far would you go to save the river? So any two of you, and I want a gender balance. What is your reflection?
I think I should come to you.
Raise your hands.
There is a reason why you are here.
Another incentive I can give is that if you want to go out to Bangkok in the evening a bit early, then raise your hand and answer. Yeah, you give them. Yeah. The answer to the question, how far would you go to save the river? What is your understanding from the 2.5 days? Are we going in that pathway, or we are totally in a different direction?
No, I think we are in the right way. This is an amazing platform of a different range of stakeholders. We are all together. We are discussing how to save river. I think we are completely in the right direction. What we need more is more collaboration and joint actions.
Okay.
Thank you.
So anyone else? Now it has to be someone from the female participants. I will not take any male hands. Anyone?
How far you can go to save the river?
Yes. Yeah, Vishwa?
Okay.
So what's your reflection? Are we going in the direction? And if you can give some examples of what you saw in the 2.5 days, that this we are going to the how to.
I think I can speak from whatever we have done. I don't want to judge anyone else.
But you have been listening, right?
Yes, I have
for
been
2.5
listening,
days.
of
So
course,
you
of
should be
course.
telling from what you have heard.
So what I've heard and understood is that we are doing our bits, but there is still some missing pieces of actually reaching the ground. And I think the youth are attempting that as part of Youth for Meghna. So from where we are working, so we can say that, yeah, we are trying to bring in some voices, but there is still a lot of work that still needs to be done to reach the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, do we have time for another question, another respondent, Vishwa? So, anyone else? You want to speak? I saw someone saying Bangladesh থেকে বলো.
Okay. Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Okay, so far I had no idea that that much of work has been going on. So it's a platform that's opening up, that's okay. These are the platforms where you can work more on. And also, you know, you can compare how far India has done so far and how far Bangladesh been stay behind and catching up. So it's like, I feel like in competition as well, that the information they do have, we to catch up with that so that we can collaborate with evidence, not just by saying hypothetically or just with the assumptions we do have. So yeah, that's the thing. And I have already mentioned about the, the shortcomings so far I have observed is about the platforms where the data has been sharing. It's not open to all. It's only, we have maybe 50 to 60 people over here, but if it would be circulated over social medias like LinkedIn or some things, then it will be more collaborative for other universities and other organizations, whoever working on it. So that's from my side. And also, the best part I find about the river game we played together, that actually gave us the shortcomings the central government's working on, the local government's working on, and we are still not on the plate to collaborate with each other. We are still playing the same game as a silo with planning. So that was so, so clear from that session that we realized that we have to collaborate somehow, otherwise it's not going to work so far. That's it.
Thank you very much. So, congratulations to the team who made the. So, a big round of applause for the team who made the river game. And so, I will now hand it over to Ariella McDonald for the next part. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So I will be recapping just a little bit about the exhibition. I hope you've used and allocated some time in the last 2.5 days to have a tour of the exhibition and see some of the incredible work partners are doing. So rather than offering my reflections, I will just say very quickly, when envisioning that space many months ago, we wanted it to be a space that was kind of a celebration of all of our partners and the wonderful work that they're doing. So I would like to use this as an opportunity to give a big hand to everyone who organized the space out there. And also our team who were there very late on Tuesday night to try and make it all happen. So I hope that you were able to enjoy that space. And someone mentioned yesterday that having stories helps us connect with the communities and the people that we are talking about throughout the forum. And for me personally, having that exhibition, seeing the photos, seeing the posters, and seeing even some of the local products helps us make sure that we're staying connected to the communities and helps us visualize some of the on-the-ground situations and realities. So for me, that's been my key takeaway, and I hope that some of you have also had some good experiences looking through the exhibition and seeing some of those posters and photos. So my question, I guess, is to hear from you all as well, if anyone has any reflections, anything that they saw in the exhibition that particularly stood out to you, or any thoughts that you have about the space.
So I thought I should share this. Thank you, Ariella, for bringing up the point of stories. So when we were having this session where Purnima ji was sharing about the Hargila, So one thing that struck me, a couple of things actually that struck me was her journey wasn't really one that she spoke the story very simple way, but everyone could tell that it's been a journey. It's been a struggle to get it to where it is, from a threatened species to a near threatened species, you know, downgrading it. So it's been quite a journey, but the simplicity of it comes from the fact that all you needed was the willingness to take initiative and stick to it, and having the grit to just continue doing it. I think there's a lot of complicacy. There's data and models and policy and this and that. But because there is the youth here also, you can also solve problems with just sheer willpower and just grit. I think that's also a lesson we need to also learn. And that story for me was so powerful. I wanted to share this. I don't know, I'm sure you've discussed this already, but I wanted to share this, especially for the youth of both our nations. If you have the willpower and the grit, I think you can solve a lot of problems. You do not need to wait for the government or the policy or this, and just take the ownership and just do it. I just wanted to share that, the power of stories.
Thank you.
Just do it.
Anyone else want to share some reflections?
Just do it. Come on. Anybody from the exhibition area? I mean, did you like it? You saw something coming from the... Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not coming to you. You are the part of the team. Yeah, any feedback? How can we do it better next time? Yes. I have been looking at you.
I just thought of that. Probably it will be worthwhile to also bring in the learning from other river basin. I was just sitting and thinking during 2002-3, 20 years back, I was involved with the Gloa Volta Basin. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. This is one of the world's most sensitive river basin. It used to be. Two countries almost finished each other. Okay, so I would say that if somebody brings in the learnings, because you will see that when you Google Gloa Volta Basin, you will find that how the African youth got involved there. We were outsider. We were running a project from UN. But it was fascinating to see their commitment, because they were telling, if we don't do it, like our forefathers did, then the next generation will suffer also. And that kind of learning, if we can bring, perhaps Mekong also will have. So something I was just trying to figure out, whether you have or not, probably I don't know, but learnings from other river basin can come in one corner. And from there, if we can pick up which is suitable for our basin, would be great.
So, no, I think that is an taker. I think this is a very important point, at least for going forward, that this kind of forum, we need to bring in those kinds of perspective. Yeah, yeah, but this is like from all our basin. But just to let you know, like we had SumarNet, a youth research network, youth and academic, which is working in the Mekong region, and they have been working for 20 years. So one of the roundtables, they came and presented, because we are also trying to replicate, you know, similar ideas. So yeah, any more? Otherwise, yes, please.
Actually, I'm working in Bangladesh Water Development Board. So main focus of my organization is to make intervention to sustain the agriculture, aquaculture in that region. One thing that is very much less discussed in this forum, that is the sedimentation issue in this region. In the morning, one of our discussants have discussed that we are having more and more sediment in recent days. So, and we are focusing, discussing more about the biodiversity, this kind of issue. So, if we think that if this kind of sedimentation happens in this rate, maybe after 10 to 15 years, all the river will die. So what will happen to the biodiversity in that situation? What will happen for the ecological situation in that situation? And what is the probable solution for that scenario, that needs to be predict before that. Because if we lost our river of sedimentation and if we lost our biodiversity, then we cannot do anything. So we need to think it before that this kind of disaster is coming. Our river, in most of the, I'm working mostly on the southwest region in Khulna, Satkira, Bagherhat district. There, most of the river died already. So they have lost their biodiversity. One more thing in this context, that if one river fully silted up and we excavate this in the original situation, how many years it will take to regenerate the biodiversity in that river? That is also very important to guess before the river gets silted up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is a big issue. I don't know, I mean, there are a lot of scientists here, modelers, how we, capture and work on this issue of sedimentation. We have been trying to look at it through the lens of land use changes, and our partners also, SCI, I think they have been doing something on siltation, so we can bring it to the, any more?
We have a final one on this side,
Okay,
and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I had prepared a presentation which I could not give. So, fortunately, I'm getting a chance to speak. So, basically, my presentation was only talking about nature-based solution. Now, when you say nature-based solution, there is a lot of confusion, right? Because there are no regulations, there are no definitions, there is no standard. And I think that is an area wherein we need to work a lot to define what exactly is a nature-based solution, because, in the name of NBS, what people are doing is disturbing the ecology. They are introducing lab-grown organisms into the ecology, which becomes an invasive species. So it is actually disturbing the existing ecosystem. And still they call it nature-based solution because the organism is biological. They created it. They have only grown up, cultured up into the lab, right? So to give a crude example, it's like when you have pest in your home, right? When you have rats, put a physical trap, that is a physical cleanup of the water bodies or the river banks, right? If you do a chemical solution, there will be a residue, and that residue will get another problem. Like if you put a chemical spray for pest control, the rat will die, and then you your entire furniture to find out where is the dead body, why is this foul smell coming in, right? Now comes the biological solution, which is called nature-based. In the name of that, if somebody comes to you saying that, I will leave some 10, 25 snakes into your home, they'll go and eat up the rat wherever it is. But now, can you live along with the snakes, right? So, a nature-based solution essentially doesn't mean that you will leave an invasive into the existing ecosystem, because then for creating a space for itself, it'll kill some or the other organism, right? One of the wonderful case studies is you can just go on YouTube and search for the Yellowstone forest case study in US, wherein the invasive species, the only predator in the forest were wolves. Human beings started killing the wolves, and after the entire wolf population was dead, the only river which was flowing into the forest dried. And it took them almost 10 years to understand what went wrong. Because the predators were gone, so herbivores multiplied, they ate up all the grasslands, and a river dried into the sand bed, right? So we need serious intervention in terms of definition of what is nature-based solution.
Sir, so I think this is already done. I mean, we even the societal challenges, because if you are leaving the snakes in your house, that is not identified as one of the societal challenge
Right.
in our system,
Right.
like nature-based solutions. So I think the definitions and criteria, maybe I can sit with you
Yeah.
and I can clarify that. It is
Definitely,
already
definitely.
there.
I would love
and
to
that
have
was
that.
one of the concern from IUCN, that it will be used for greenwashing, and which was happening, and that's why IUCN came up after consulting 10,000 people. The
Okay.
standard was finalized and published
So
online.
is it now pushed to the policy level? Or?
Yes, it is already. CBD and everybody is using it. As a definition is also there.
Okay.
We need on that, but
So
we will come
we
back
need
on
to
the
work
thematic plenary
for
too
making
also.
that definition.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we will talk to that.
Yeah, I want to reflect on the documentation of Tangwar Haur in the exhibition. I think it's wonderfully done. But I have a question that, are we making Tangwar Haur less accessible to the poor? This is my question, because over times we saw that there are a lot of tourism activity in the Tangwar Haur, and some of the NGOs are also advocating alternate livelihoods of the people, of the local people. So if the people do not get the access of the water body for fishing or some other activity, then it will be difficult for their livelihoods. That's the question, because in Bangladesh, NGOs are trying to advocate different kind of activities for the fishermen, but welcoming a lot of enterprises from elsewhere to operate in the water body. That's I think complex and kind of counteracting issues over there.
I think very well said, sir. I think that's where we have to be very careful in not, making things worse with time. So I think is that okay for the exhibition area session? Let's move to the next one, Youth Forum 1, and we have Mrs. Priyanka Sarkar, also our Youth Forum Meghna network, and working with a lot of different youth network on water and diplomacy issue. So over to you.
Thank you. I need to see the laptop. So thanks. I tried to segregate the points into different headers. First headers include what are the inputs that stood out. First, youth are already acting, but we need direction and access, not just prescriptions. Speakers in the session repeatedly underlined that without right knowledge, data, and pathways into policy forums is inadequate. Blending science with indigenous knowledge and local knowledge emerged as a core operating principle. Transboundary youth connectivity was framed as essential to tackle the shared riverine and wetland challenges. System barriers like asymmetric governance, data gaps, and weak community, academia, and governance linkages were openly acknowledged as constraints the network aims to close. Point number 2, follow-ups that are needed on targeted capacity building for youth on the basin ecology, policy, literacy, and data skills, protocols for data sharing and diplomacy in data to reduce transboundary information asymmetrics. A formal and basin-wide youth platform alongside or within Y4M to coordinate the actions, pool evidence, and speak with the united voice to decision makers. Structured community youth government interfaces for quicker on-ground intelligence like flood signals, etc. Solutions or mechanisms that were proposed include citizen science and community evidence generation, Y4M fellowship that we have been doing, NBA solution and spun city thinking coupled with lessons from traditional water urban system which are adapted to local context, integrated appraisal tools and water flow diagrams to include all the stakeholders and standardize the NBA in decision making. Local government youth joint cleanup drives. Number 4, the final one, partnerships or action required includes tri-sector bridges between academia, government, and youth or community with MKF could be a convening hub. Cross-border youth networks, of course, India and Bangladesh for sharing the learning and the advocacy of the data diplomacy, recognizing and resourcing of indigenous knowledge holders. Finally, sub-national partnership and municipal partnership to operationalize NBS pilots, citizen science monitoring, and rapid response information loops. These were the main highlights from the Youth Forum 1 on Meet the Youth for Meghna, Voices and Actions from the Basin from day one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So anything, so I picked up a couple of things. I remember, yes, citizen science was like something coming up, that why and how, why we are not using it fully. Every time we talk about data and youth can be easily connected to citizen science, they can understand the technology, etc. So, and also like talking about the diplomacy part, how the youth can understand. So any further input or reflection on the Youth Forum 1, any big thing that comes to your mind that you would like to bring in here for the session? Nothing? Okay.
While
you are sitting there, I think those people are not allowed. If you are part of this, then okay.
I think when we planned our exercise, the first question we were like, how do we bring our science concept into the picture? Because I know when we all come from a very technical background, whenever start communicating with anybody or like journally, those jargons we throw out, that was the first question. Especially I needed a training because I was very scared ki yaar, I'll throw out those scientific terms and how will the community react. It's not that I'm saying they don't understand, it's that they are well more aware than me. It's just that I'll be stuck in vocabulary and they would have been a very vast knowledge base which would have corrected me far more better times. So this is the approach we had, and I'm very thankful to Swapanda, Madhulika and Teetam. They have been a very good support to us during when we were having this citizen science exchange plan for the water quality, where they have been translating my jargons into their languages. And the funny thing was that the community people were already aware. The perception which I had, I have to be a very, very, very soft spoken and something to do with the very, very slightly push my those technical, they were already aware because they already know what is a pH. They already know what TDS was, so that was one thing. So it's just that the space was not there. They were not expressive, or it was like the expression potential which was lacking. But yes, I think when the mic was shifted to them, they were more active. So they're already scientists. I feel that they were more scientific than us.
Thank you, Ashu. And I also feel, I don't know how much of you will agree, that what we see as a wetland spotlight area is one example of citizen sciences, especially from the Indian side, because the Oxbow Lake, Rupai Bali is not, not documented, and that's where the is playing a big role.
I was actually resisting myself to reflect, because every time I'm reflecting something. But to my utter surprise, if we do not go to the root cause of any problem, then how will you solve it? The siltation problem of our country, it has a history. It's a delta, and the whole country is formed by silts coming from Ganges and Brahmaputra. So silt will be coming from the upstream is the character of this land. Why the siltation got this characteristic? The river I grew up is Khowai. The riverbed is now 20 feet higher than the Hobbiganj town. Because we gave cordon approach to our rivers. We gave embankment, we resisted our water to go to the floodplains where they were going before. And the sluice gates, polders, all these things are actually killed the natural flow of water. So we should come out of the cordon approach and we should think about the open approach to keep our water-based ecosystem alive. This is what my reflection here. So enough of scientists, listen to the people and come to the solution there. And half a minute reflection on the exhibition, which is not mine actually, it was Shamsher Bhai's. But I am interpreting his suggestion to CNRS, Muklesh Bhai, to request him to be influenced by Hargila army, not to bring photographs, also to bring some fishes. To carry, yeah, not Hargila fish, the photographs in the CNRS stall, those are all fishes photo, but you requested him to bring some fried fish. Thank you.
That is something done, yeah. So thank you very much, Sharif Bhai. And oh, okay. I think we take this one and then we go to the next.
Right. Well, thank you. Actually, I'm just targeting the youth. They're doing good job in Bangladesh and also globally. But I have a point. If a youth group very dedicatedly develop a plan, maybe for a small area, a small catchment, interacting with the communities and develop a plan, it's fine. But how about the government line agency officials, like forest, water, fisheries, agriculture? Do they really accept this? Maybe they accept this, receive this. Do they incorporate in their annual plan and implement or translate this into actions? Is a question. And youth group, actually, their major role I see so far is advocacy for protection, conservation, mitigating the climate crisis. But the knowledge, they need to have adequate knowledge, which we call the evidence-based advocacy. For example, in Bangladesh, the fishers from the north central region, I experienced that, that's what I'm saying. They say in 1 year there is no water or less water, no fish. But if you go to Haur, and then the people say there is no jungle, no fish. There is no trees, no fish. So what is the connection between the trees and fish? Because they refer to the swamp forest. Because when swamp forest goes underwater and remains so for 5-6 months, it creates a very good habitat niche for the various types of fish. And there are lots of small fishes, even the large fishes need substrate for spawning. So without having this adequate substrate, they cannot spawn. And in the north central region, fish start breeding late compared to our region. Why? So these are the things that the social and ecological aspects of these ecosystems, which vary from one to another. Even if we go for the climate action, adaptation, in one village, people impacted differently by occupational groups. Those who do fishing in the Bay of Bengal, they have a different types of vulnerability. Those doing fishing within the Sundarbans have different types. Crab collectors have different types. Rice farmers have different types. Shrimp farmers differently impacting. So we need to know these occupational diversities and their special and their susceptibility or exposure to climate things and what are their adaptation needs. We just cannot say that fisher needs this, but there are 7 types of fishing groups. So they have a different types of things. So that diversity is important to know. It is a suggestion to my young colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always, I will come back. Okay, I think we want to go to the next one. And a couple of things like I go to Fatima. So you said that, we are like embanking the river and that is a problem. And when we talk about, if you read the nature-based solution in river, there is you will find a lot of literature which talks about a term, giving a space to the river. And that's what is where we are kind of lacking. And that's also kind of contributing to the siltation problem. So over to you, Fatma.
Hello, this is Fahmida Sultana. I am a graduate student and research assistant at Shah Jalan University of Science and Technology, Sylhet, Bangladesh. And also a junior GIS analyst at Spectre GmbH, a German-based company that models flood natural hazards in European country. And I am here to have a reflection on the Youth Forum too. So the key takeaways we could take from Youth Forum. So for me, it was the most engaging and fun section in these 3 days of workshop. So we engaged all of us in this session, and we were divided into 5 groups, and we were given a 5,000 USD budget to allocate it to different sectors. And we could see that there were different type of strategies in these in different sectors. For example, the central government, where I was sitting, they allocated most of their budget in flood insurance. On the other hand, the private sector, as far as I remember, put all of their budget in wetland restoration. So we can see the difference. And There was another key takeaway that we can note, that there was a very prominent coordination gap between different groups. So, and the indigenous community was mostly excluded, and there everyone was siloed, stuck in a silo. So we can say that there are shared goals, but there are divergent paths. We all want to save the wetlands and save the community, the people, but our strategies are different. So if we work differently, not cooperating with each other, there will not be a good result. So what are the action points to move forward? Co-create inclusive government platforms. Indigenous voices and youth must be central, not just peripheral. Foster youth stakeholder partnership to replicate interactive tools, just like the river game, in real life for broader basin dialogue. Invest capacity building. We have to support private sectors and youth with field-based exposure and learning. And finally, bridge the silos through dialogue and policies. Enable joint decision-making mechanism across different sectors. So my question to everyone in different sectors will be, how can youth-led tools and inclusive dialogues reshape river basin governments in your context? Thank you very much.
So any question, I mean, do you want to respond to her? Anybody? Or any further reflections to add? Or otherwise we go to the next day 2. Okay. Samsher? Yes, okay. There also there is one.
Yes, I love it, the way she presented it. Parmina, you have really done well. Actually, the thing is that being a person working on the ground, the challenge we face is we have to reach out all the time. I was just thinking in the first discussion what's happening there, how to save the river. So many institutions we have, like, no? Resource management, forest department. It seems that, okay, it is not doing its own way. Like, no, it's not, they are there, institutions are there. But in the whether things are, they're into the making it. Like, I live on the bank of River Barak. I have seen how much of forest has been cut down in that basin. And to restore it, somebody has said it takes so much of time. So sometimes the institutions which are already there has to start talking how civil society really engage on that aspect, number one. Second thing is that when she was talking about it, I was thinking that for a community to influence, panchayat itself has become so difficult. The panchayat, which is created by us, which is basically our representative in the village, to convince panchayat, because it's all matter of priority, no? The priority is to Samsher Bhai, he was saying, is it panchayat working for us, or is it the central government deciding on what we should do? So what I think is that, okay, the thing is that giving space to people should be priority of all the institutions, all the organizations. When as he said, when we start giving priority to people to decide what they want, things will go to change. And yesterday, when you were discussing other section, we are talking about how many children, youth, are really trained on research. They don't know about it. Let's start doing this. Like, no, let them do research of what's happening in their own village. How many frogs have gone? How many butterflies has gone? What they have seen, what they have seen now. Otherwise, what happens? Okay, that they will think this is a natural process. They have died. Whereas for a scientist, it's for a research, for his paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think again, I mean, it is like in a way connecting with the citizen science idea and taking this approach to the grassroots level to the youth.
Yes, thank you, Vishwa. My comments actually related to not day 1, already related to day 2 and day 3 also.
We are coming, just wait. If it is day 2, then we are coming to day 2. So I think we are going to, and I have my friend and colleague, Mr. Deepu Bhai, but the real name is a bit difficult, Alam Sarovar. So
thank you, Vishwa. So I have no presentation, just a couple of lines. So it was actually plenary session 1, strengthening community livelihoods resilience. So you can see the total key points that displayed here, but couple of things I want to highlight here. From the presentation, Dr. Niladri, he highlighted the problems, mainly in the Barak Meghna Basin, the high climate vulnerability hotspot, so that is one of the big issue, and the rainfall pattern changing in this basin. So we know now in April, end of the April, but instead of June previously. So, and seasonal and permanent water body are actually changing due to the rainfall pattern change. In this context, I want to say something like we are celebrating Dr. Purnimaji's success. That is very good news. In our river basin, Meghna Barak River Basin, you can just see we have more than 700 bird species in this basin. But last 50 years, if you can see the IUCN red list status, only couple of species changed the status, like only the greater adjutant stock and couple of stock species. We don't know the other bird species status. So just from the downlisting to uplisting, not the uplisting to downlisting. So that is the alarming due to the climate change and in our particularly in our basin system. So even the connectivity, we lost the connectivity. So in this context, there are some action point as well. Traditional habitat conservation practice, that is one of the key things that highlighted here. And from the panel discussion, very good suggestion or a recommendation. So climate smart agricultural practices and growing rice with less water along with alternative livelihood, that is highlighted point. And knowledge sharing, data sharing, and technology transfer. So without this, very difficult to run, mitigate this climate change issue and all the things. So BIMSTEC can play a good role, data sharing, knowledge sharing, and technology transfer. So that highlighted here. And there are a couple of good example and funding opportunity that discuss here from the PKSF, and where policy inclusion highlighted here during the discussion, and finally access to finance. So that was actually a nutshell from the plenary session 1. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you, Deepu bhai. A lot of things there. I mean, and we also need to be a bit more specific on some things, like how it can be done actually on the ground, even like how you engage the governments or share the data, etc. So I think because of the time issue, let me just go back to the next speaker from thematic. Ashu, yes.
Okay, I'll be talking about the role of private sector in the building climate resilience. First of all, I'll be thankful so that SHM was given a privilege to bring the private sector for this forum, and which was also really well appreciated by our industry members also. So it's very important to know that engaging the private sector is as a critical stakeholder is the should have been gone ahead earlier, but it has been pitching in now. That's also a very good thing. Because not engaging a private sector is not an option. It's become a necessity, I feel, after seeing everything and learning the discussion. I think it's become a necessity to involve them, because the private sector does not only, it's the finance which they can support, it's their technologies, their innovation breadth, their potential of having a trainers of trainers expertise which they can provide in uplifting our work and taking it to a level up progress. Because if you look, industries are already working in silos to achieve certain goals which they have, because they have the concept of embedding sustainability within, which was also highlighted by one of our panelists during our discussions. So an industry also have a concept of a very strong concept of ownership, because they have a very specific checklist before they transfer the ownership to other parts or their other partners. So I think that is one thing. And also Madhukarji also highlighted that for the growth to go on, the traditional knowledge also need to be in a picture, even when we are considering the private sector to be involved. So the main agenda should not be shifted. It's the private sector could also be coming in with this knowledge space and everything. So that's all from my side. If you have any suggestions, please do.
What an excellent summary, Ashu. Congratulations and thank you for this great panel. I think I just have one suggestion is that, when we define private sector, we often see it as big industries, right? So, but, coming to the Meghna forum, this type of big forum where there are investors, there are partners who are coming up, there are a lot of small startups doing brilliant things who would have really benefited from coming here. So I would recommend that please bring in startups who are bringing solutions but is not getting adequate support. Thank you.
Forum couldn't do it, we can have the startup Mahakumbh aligned where the IUCN and MKF could be in partnership. That's all I could say.
Oh my God, I think this is something we can really take. Startup Mahakumbh. And I think Indian politicians will like it very much. So it's already an event. Oh, okay, sorry. So it's already an event, so that is a good thing. So now let me go back to the cut session, which was like very well received, and many people were coming and telling me that just enjoyed it. So what was there?
Yeah, can we change this? We can see this.
Can you change to the trade?
Yeah. So the side event that we conducted mostly discussed the findings that of our activities that we conducted in Meghna Basin region, mostly on riverine route, using by the community for trade and tourism purpose, what are the potentials there. So as a conclusions, we can say that we identified the challenges. Now it's time to act. I think all the panelists, chair, everybody suggested in their ways, but as conclusions, I think it is important to create the business model right now to make it sustainable. Otherwise, all the community, those are engaged in different ways, like who are doing trade, tourism, etc. Unless they utilize the channel, river channels, or the model that we identified. If there is no sustainability, then after a few days, it will not be in use. So we have to now think about this. Thank you.
One big thing that comes to your mind when you talk about trade, one potential between India and countries, some numbers. What's that? Numbers.
Numbers means?
How big it is, what is the potential?
Yeah, there is a huge potential. Say some agricultural commodities, I can take name like Lakadong turmeric, for example, in Meghalaya, particularly in Jayantia Hills. So we observe that those are the primary producer who are not able to sell the product to the market cross-border trade potentials are there, we have seen, but they are unable to sell it. Now we have to create this channel for them so that they can sell it to other part like Bangladesh or within India in different states. So it's high time to do this.
Thank you very much. So I think let's go back to the thematic plenary 2. And I would like to request Dr. Yashveer to share his reflections on what was the big thing coming out of it.
Yeah, thank you, Vishwa. So, I mean, this is an interesting session. All the sessions were interesting. This was interesting because this is where, biodiversity and ecosystems are actually spelled out very clearly, and that is something where, which concerns me sometimes. That in the societal benefits, in the larger conversation about societal benefits, water, agricultural land, very often the biodiversity and the overall ecosystem get missed out. And that is where the first talks of this this session try to set that quite clear with definition of what NBS is, what ecosystem-based adaptation is. So I think that was a good start of this session to really clarify that biodiversity is almost at par with societal benefits and is a part of that, in fact. Now, we had some, we had 10 interventions in this session. It was fairly intense, I would say. So it is very difficult to really cull out the real important things, but I'm going and selecting a few from here. So, in different sections, like Dr. Hussein's talk and the interventions from Bangladesh, what was spelt out, what was shown was the threats to biodiversity and livelihoods that are happening in this entire catchment. And these challenges are there, and they have been spoken about several times, and I think many of the speakers gave more information about the challenges of everything from deforestation to siltation to the endocrine toxicants in the water, depletion of biodiversity, almost disappearance of species like gharial and the Gangetic dolphin and so on. So these are some of the threats which have been, which were spelled out, and I think should be taken note of. But I think if we look at the going ahead, what was shown there substantially was this whole idea of looking at area, like was spelled out by Dr. Khalid also, that after all, we are looking at area-based conservation. It's like you identify an area and you develop plans for that and actually work on it. And it is a one system, whether you call it ridge to valley or ridge to reef. So this is something that was, again, a very important point, that the ecosystems are separate with forests, mangroves, wetlands, and rivers, and so on. But the point is that these are all interconnected systems, and they are, whichever scale you look at it, they are landscapes of sorts. So a whole of landscape, or whole of, say, a mega ecosystem approach is what is really required for developing plans and work. Again, there are certain things. We do have a Brahmaputra authority in India, but there was a suggestion about going ahead. We should have a Barak authority, or if we really manage better intercountry ways of working, then also a larger Barak Meghna authority kind of thing. But the point here is that here it is a question of integration, of convergences between the stakeholders. So the key here is that we have a very strong need for different stakeholders to work together. And they need a structural basis for it. So I think the suggestion here from perhaps Dr. Hussain was that we really need to work towards this. I want to also quickly go aside and here I would like to add that the other discussion on the research network, which was a separate side event, but that also kind of flows in that we really need to understand the need for information and a mechanism to sustain it. So again, authorities like this, which enable good science, use of information, stakeholder engagement is what is really required. And again, I think the final couple of points that it was pointed out that at least one mechanism going ahead that can help in conservation, especially looking at ecosystems and biodiversity, are the OECMs. And OECMs, India is having, they have revised their policy and guidelines on OECMs. So this is something which will happen. Rivers and wetlands are prime candidates for OECMs, which give them global recognition, also mechanisms of different stakeholders working on forest conservation. So this is certainly an area to explore further. And I think I would like to say that yes, ecosystems need support from all stakeholders and governments and political support. It's a large, big ask, but is crucial. I think with this, I would like to urge some of the speakers, there are 10 of them, if I have missed anything, if they think that anything that really should be pointed out, we'd like to give maybe a chance, a quick 1 or 2 minute intervention. Anybody? If I have not covered the thing well enough? Yes. Yes.
But thank you very much, sir, for summarizing. So clap for Dr. Yashvi. And then we can go to the next one after this. What do you want to say? If you nothing else to say after, so you can say that with 10 speakers I got confused and I have nothing.
No. I think all the 10 speakers contributed with their best about their understanding on the ecosystem at a larger landscape. And I think the most focused was with the community level engagement. That is what I really picked up from the speaker, because what we can best do to the community people to conserve the landscape, particularly the river basin, that will be beneficial for the river basin itself and also for the community. Without the engagement of the community, no resource can be really managed. That is my reflection on it. Thank you.
But as a forest officer, I have one question.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult it is to engage community?
That's the tough question, I think. I think forest, as a forester, always managing resource, particularly the forest resource and wetland resource, is difficult, because people wants to have a stake on the resources everywhere, because these resources are very not well defined. They are not bordered with any boundaries, with any walls, so everybody can access them. But there is a problem is that the land use is a problem. Land use outside the forest or inside the forest, both are problem. The competing land use, for example, if anybody wants to have a piece of forest land for agriculture, then it becomes a problem for the forest. If anybody wants to have agriculture in the wetland, is a problem. If somebody wants to have a fishing, I think aquaculture activity inside the wetland, is a problem. So all these problems are happening not only in Bangladesh but also in the Northeast, because that's why there are a lot of degradation occurring in the forest areas, and that result accelerating the sedimentation and other kind of problem in Bangladesh. So we have to manage those communities who are actually making the problem. That's the difficult thing.
I think what you said is that we should be doing if it is a wetland, don't convert it into agricultural land, so we have to follow what nature is telling us. So, Shamsher Bhai, I think I just want to share one thing, because I know Shamsher Bhai for almost 8 years. 8 years he has been asking me to get Mekong Water River for his water museum. And this time also, before, like when he got the invitation, first thing, Vishwa, can I get the Mekong water? So I said, why? Yes, but I don't know why you don't go to Mekong, like it's very nearby.
No. Thank you. Couple of things actually discussed here. 1 minute. Couple of things actually very interesting and very hopeful. One thing is building knowledge. I want to say that all knowledge is not neutral. Like knowledge about the Horlicks that I discussed yesterday, knowledge about the Fair and Lovely. Is it true? So that who is actually creating that knowledge, that is important. Therefore, I divided it into two. One is knowledge from the corporate, or second thing, knowledge from the community, which called NBS, nature-based solution. All corporate knowledge is not feasible for the NBS. That should be kept in our mind. Number two, each word, when we using any word, each word has a unique meaning and philosophy also. This is part of. So that we have to create some jargon. I asked yesterday and day before yesterday about some participants, do you know what you talking about the NBS? NBS means, if really you want to NBS means no air condition, no huge light, and we have to use more sunlight for work. That is NBS. Are we ready for that? Accepting or not? If we want all facilities of corporate, air condition, everything, and we are talking about the NBS, this is actually conflicting. Last is participatory. That fantasize many cases we are talking. I conducted number of research participatory method. What is the meaning of that? After conducting the research, the book I produce, I never recognize or acknowledge the participant who provide me that knowledge. And copyrights to me. When I'm writing the copyrights to me, that means I actually grabber of the people's knowledge. I am also a criminal. That is criminal offense. After grabbing any knowledge and without recognition, without any.
I think that is a very good point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. But I think you also raised a point about, using electricity, traveling in the flight. But I think we are all culprit, even you sitting here. If you really feel, then you can say that, no, I'm not going to any place where there is electricity, there is a big hotel or roads. I live in a very natural place. But that will also be a problem, because then everybody will go to the forest. So, yeah, so you tried. And corporates are also trying to give you something which is coming from renewable energy, right? From the wind, from the sunlight. So we are all like, so I think I have to go to Mrinal. So we will finish the day 2 and then we can come to the day 1. So Mrinal, very precise and sharp intervention. Yes.
Shall I have to be precise?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, okay. So hello everyone. So I was the moderator in the Meghna Research Work session. So since it was a side event, I want to tell you about what it was. Basically, we were trying, actually MKF was trying to build a research network across the university, which are residing in Meghna Basin or surrounded by the area or a nearby area, through which we can build more research, more information, more data-driven process so that it can help the community.
the session was very interesting. We had chair, co-chair, and also we have private parties. We also had Samanet, who had delivered their experience regarding the development of that network in Mekong Basin. And we also had Samseda. So from these things, we will basically try to develop, bring some answers to several questions. For some questions, we got some answers like cooperation. We also got we got to know that the IIT Roorkee is also interested to be a part of us. And also several other institutions, private institutions are also interested. So these are some of the key takeaways. And also we did not get clear idea regarding what will be the future prospect of collaboration between different universities considering the current geopolitical tension. And I think that will need some time to have a clear discussion because this thing will not be there forever. Right. So these are the things. And regarding, and I'm also like Swapanda requested that we should bring more youth from the community so that they also get exposure and they get the opportunity to work with us. And I would like to say that for that, with the cooperation of the Youth for Meghna, we are also launching some fellowship. We have already launched a fellowship for Storyteller Fellowship. 4 of these scholars, basically the storytellers are going to be selected for this fellowship, and we are also going to launch 6 other research-based fellowship where the different faculty members, the different community members are going to mentor these fellows. So these are all about our session, side event 4, and if you have any suggestion, comments, then it's open for you. Thank you.
I think as important, and we clearly take this feedback that yesterday people were not getting chance to ask question, and that's why you have the feedback form QR, I think, on the table. Vishnu, as everyone has. So please, you can also start, giving your feedback, and the questions that you were not able to ask, you can put in there, and we will follow up. So I think let's come to the day 2 now, 3, and the session 1. Of the day 3 was thematic plenary inclusion, very well facilitated by Donna and Mr. Saqib, and moderated by Tariq.
Thank you very much, Vishuddha. So our session was about the youth and gender inclusion in the conservation of the Meghna Basin, and we had a very fruitful session, I should say, because there was 2 remarkable presentations, one of them by the Hargila Army and also from the Sodamini Madam. So from that session, my takeaway is we should be recognized, like their work should be recognized, what they are doing, like youth and women actively participating in the conservation effort. So basically what they need is kind of like platform to showcase their work, and also we need to adopt those activities in the Meghna Basin. In that regard, I would say Hargila is working with the Hargila, the species, magnificent species, and also we are working also in the Meghna Basin with the Palaces fishery conservation. So these efforts need to be emphasized and also make it to bring it in front so that we can also conserve our remarkable species. And we are also working with the plant species like critically endangered species in our countries as well. So these conservation efforts needs to be prioritized, and also we need to include our youth and women in these conservation efforts so that they can be, community can be aware and they can be empowered through this work, and they can get the platform to focus their work and their conservation efforts. So that was my first point. And then we talked about the valuation of our ecosystem. We have 4 services: provisioning services, regulatory, culture, and supporting services. So we identified that Simsang and Someshwari River, their economic values like $2.8 billion, which is a magnificent number. So if we can expedite this process and also do that ecosystem analysis for other river basins, and also we can manage those things like basin-wide management, that could be a helpful asset for us. And youth and gender capacities at the local level would be an asset for these purposes. And we have talked about the traditional knowledge. So in our forum, we have been talking about the community engagement, traditional knowledge. These are our asset, and also community-based early warning systems. So this needs to be acknowledged, and also our traditional knowledge and scientific research must be bridged so that we can actually recognize the work of the like conserve our traditional knowledges, and also we can bridge the scientific research with that. So that community consultation would be an powerful option for that. And next thing is that youth-led monitoring and research, so especially on water quality, flash flood frequency, and early warning systems. So there was, like Rizwana madam was saying, community-based early warning systems. When we went to the Howard region, so they had some sort of local knowledge, like how they got the impression that flood is coming. So this should be recognized, and also we need to emphasize, like we do have now modern technologies, so we need to merge these, and our youth can actively work in the basin, and they can actually aware our community people so that the less effect they can consider. And for the infrastructure and rehabilitation after flood damage is being approached as climate adaptive strategy, offering further opportunities to engage youth and women in integrated water and harbor resource management. And lastly, cultural and spiritual ties to nature. So that can be inspired and sustain youth and gender inclusive conservation leadership rooted in community values. So we need to, we need to go to the community and talk with them and learn with them, and we have to, focus their work in our magnificent areas of work. So MKF is a big platform, and we have been trying to, raise their voices, raise the what youth are saying, what community people are saying, so that we can actually recognize their work and take this away and make the Barak Meghna Basin more resilient, and livelihood should be more resilient to climate resilient aspect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tariq. So I think there were a lot of good points coming from, and especially the linkages between the culture, and I think one of the highlight was an inspirational talk was from you, so I think you have inspired a lot of us here today. Let me go to maybe a bit on the legal, so I think that then after that, the last one is the community-led climate adaptation. So Remy, would you like to share something?
Sure, I'll be very brief. So firstly, I really have appreciated the discussions that I've been involved in, and just hearing all the different voices here at the forum has been an eye-opening learning for me, coming from the Global Convention. And in our session, I mean, we discussed the fact that there are these two global conventions in operation at the global level, but really the challenge is how to ground them in community voices, women voices, youth voices, because a lot of the time this is the challenge for global conventions, is that they really have a challenge in bringing the local to the global, and also to have that as not just a token participation, but something that is mainstreamed and is continuous and continues to build those voices into the activities at the global level. So with the two conventions, they're not very well known, is one of the key outcomes, especially at the community level. So building understanding of the conventions, their practical value, clarifying misconceptions, and also opening these pathways for participation. We learnt that one convention is a convention on paper, but the other convention, the 1992 UN Water Convention, has this dynamic institutional framework that can support participation from communities, Indigenous and women voices in the global framework. There's this IUCN study that has been conducted on the ways in which the conventions can support but not replace the existing transboundary cooperation in the Meghna, and how it can support potentially some of the different activities that you're involved in. So that study is forthcoming, and we'll look to engage you all more in feedback on that particular policy document. And really just to use momentum gathered through the Meghna Forum here, through the National Workshop in Bangladesh, and also Bangladesh as a session to the convention, which is a milestone moment for South Asia in engaging with these global conventions, to see how we can build awareness and understanding of the conventions, and also really embed them in practical value at the local, transboundary, and also regional levels. So really ensuring one of the key takeaways, because I'm going to finish now, is just to ensure that there's pathways local to global participation. I think that's something that's really we find challenging at the global convention is how to bring your voices to the global level and to the regional level. And I think that's something that in my presentation I really challenge you all to engage with the convention, use its frameworks, and to inquire and seek questions and resources from us so that we can see how we can engage you more in the global framework. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So I think, I mean, everyone knows that Bangladesh has become the first country in South Asia to sign both the conventions. And Sharif Bhai, you said that UNGA also signed last week or something. So you can talk about it.
Thank you, Vishwa. So my name is Anshuman Verma. I'm from the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, UNESCAP. And just, in context of the discussion on international cooperation, I just wanted to add that, my organization, ESCAP, it's again, one of the regional companies of the UN, focused on the Asia-Pacific region. And, we are a legislative body. We are an intergovernmental platform with a membership of 53 members and associate members in the Asia-Pacific region. And one of the developments I'd like to highlight is that at the annual session of ESCAP that was held in April this year, the member states adopted a new resolution to promote cooperation on the water and climate change nexus. The reason this is important is that, these resolutions, we feel they represent the common priorities and the common will of member states in the region. And therefore, this resolution sort of lends impetus and mandate and support to, work on water. And a lot of what I've heard, today, unfortunately, I couldn't attend on the first and second day. Today is my first day, but a lot of what I've heard really echoes what's already in the resolution, and it could provide a supportive framework to the work that's already ongoing. There are a few elements of the resolution. Firstly, it encourages collaboration and partnership across stakeholders. So while it's a resolution adopted by member states, but it encourages collaboration among UN entities with civil society organizations, academic institutions, and a range of stakeholders. So partnerships is underscored through the resolution. It also emphasizes the need for scientific collaboration and for exchange of best practices and knowledge. Again, that's something that we've heard very clearly, I think, in the room. And then one other point is that under the resolution, we are also, ESCAP is mandated to organize a regional preparatory meeting for the 2026 UN Water Conference. So the UN Water Conference will be held in December of 2026. But prior to that, we will be organizing a regional preparatory meeting. And this would be done in collaboration with the government of Tajikistan in Dushanbe, likely around mid of next year. And again, that would be another opportunity to contribute voices, perspectives, to the global dialogue on water and climate change nexus. So I hope that's of interest to the group as well. Thanks.
And I think this is a very good, what do you say, thing that has happened, and that framework will be very useful for us. And I think that is available online. Yeah, so it's what is the title? Climate? Okay, so cooperation on climate change and nexus. Water and climate change. The UNESCAP, Environment Commission. Social and Environment Commission. Yes. Social and Economic Commission. Sorry, I'm from IUCN. So I did it wrong. Who is the last one? Yes, where is Madhulika? Oh, yes. Last but not the least. So we have a young person from India presenting.
Yes.
You can also see a bit on the camera. You can come here if you want to walk around.
It's fine, yeah. Thank you so much, Vishwaji, for giving me the opportunity. I would like to thank everyone who is here and who has attended our side event on behalf of NEETs and CNRS. I would like to quickly summarize the key points which we have come up during the discussion. The name of our side event was Community-Led Adaptation Strategies for Resilience in the Barak-Meghna River Basin. The session discussed case studies and grassroots initiatives from the Barak-Meghna Basin on community and gender inclusion, including learnings from indigenous community-driven adaptation practices that have proven effective in addressing climate changes. Some of the key issues which came up during our session includes the flash floods in the community, the decreasing nature of the wetlands being perennial. The wetlands are getting seasonal, which has been a serious concern in the Meghna Basin. We highlighted the importance of building community institutions for the regeneration of degraded ecosystems. We also recognize the importance of leveraging the village cooperatives to adopt bamboo drip irrigation system for better resilience. As an example of community stewardship for ecosystem restoration, we learned about the community-led river erosion management techniques and wetland restoration practices from our Bangladesh counterpart. We recognize the importance of floodplains for the fisheries and the fisher folks people residing in the Barak-Meghna Basin. We learned how community is participating in voluntary research on natural resources. One of the important things which we discussed during the session includes the lack of we don't meet the criteria to mobilize the climate funds required for community-led initiatives most of the time. And the climate finance landscape has been recognized as a challenge in itself. However, we think building humanitarian networks can be a viable solution to building climate finance. We also learned about the importance of bridging policy gaps in fishery management. Lastly, the keynote thing which came from our discussion includes that justice and governance is very important for the community-led adaptation strategies to sustain in the long run. I hope I could summarize the key points from our session. However, we have a number of esteemed speakers. In case I have missed anything from our session, I would request them to add on to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madhulika. So I think because we are already 15 minutes beyond, take a break, and then we have a last session. And Rakib Bhai, I think, is not here. He will be helping moderate. Oh, yeah, you're here. So I think last session, Rakib Bhai, I mean, before people are going for a tea break for 15 minutes, do you want to say something for the last session? But generally, I understand that we will more try to understand that how we can make it more, yeah.
I would say let's take a break and we come back on time. Maybe you reduce the break if you want to go back to Bangkok. So it's up to you. I mean, how sooner you come, the sooner we start and sooner we finish.
Okay. So I think any which way we are starting at 15:45. So please be here, by that time. We have 14 minutes break for the tea.